Hello and welcome back to the second installment of Jay's Q&A. Basically the little show where I answer all my viewers' questions that are tech related and kind of not tech related, but let's keep mostly to the tech related. If you have a question, you can put it down in the comments, of course, and we'll answer it in the next installment. Today we're going to tackle a couple of the common questions that people have, and these are things that people have suggested. Number one, starting off, and I've got my phone so I can make sure I remember all of them. What really does VR Ready mean? Why do we only see GDDR5 and GDDR3 memory and no GDDR4? And then, of course, do 500 gigabyte hard drives or small hard drives have any value to gamers in 2018? So to elaborate on that first question, what really does VR Ready mean? Well, let's be honest. It is 100% a marketing statement. There is no standard. There is no VR Ready thing because, to be honest with you, this system back here could be VR ready. This system could be VR ready. The toaster strudel or the toaster that I have downstairs could be VR ready. It all is just however they like to label it. There's no standard. There's no backing behind it. Now that's what I really find funny is when someone goes and you look online, you see something like VR ready for a SSD or a hard drive. Now, yes, it really doesn't matter the storage that you have when you're playing VR. It doesn't matter at all. Well, relatively. And yet they're calling it VR ready, and that the other products aren't VR ready. Which, let's be honest, hard drives don't make a difference. Now, graphics cards, on the other hand, they still say everything is VR ready. 1050s, 1050 Ti's, everything is VR ready. Now, what I really think that VR ready should be entailing is the fact that you have to play a certain frame rate, get a certain amount of quality, and not just be supported by Oculus or whatever you like to call it. It can't just be supported, it has to actually be playable. So that would be what I would say is, VR ready really just means whatever the manufacturer wants to mean. And especially, I would not go off of when you're searching for products and stuff, I wouldn't go off of what you find on the site. I would just say, look, do your benchmarks, see what's out there, see what, you're going to get before you buy. And then you can decide from there if it's really VR to your standards ready. So the next question we have, of course, is why didn't we see any GDDR4 memory? Well, to start off, GDDR3 came out, and it was popular, and GDDR4 came out a little bit later. Now, obviously, GDDR4 is a lot more expensive, but GDDR5 came out later on, and was about slightly bit more expensive, but it had a lot more improvements. And so, basically, think of it like, you had GDDR3, you had a big leap of DDR4 to GDDR4, and there was a small leap, yes, but the price came down tremendously. That's why GDDR5 was so much more popular. We never saw really any graphics cards with GDDR4. There's a great YouTuber that went through and explained this all. I recommend, you go see that video for the whole explanation. That's pretty much a rundown, simplified version of exactly what that means. And to be honest with you, that's why we never saw any fancy graphics cards with it. That's why we see HBM2 or HBM options available as well. And that's why we have a couple of different memory options now, just because, especially with GDDR6 coming out, which we'll have to see how expensive it is, which looking at some of the specs on it will be actually pretty surprising. Yeah, I would say that's a good option, just to stick with what we have now as GDDR5, and I'd expect to see it a little bit longer, and maybe even some past generation cards whenever we do get some new graphics cards from either AMD or NVIDIA. I would expect to see some older, or some of the low models actually still supporting that. So the next question we have today are 500 gigabyte or small storage size files. Are they worth it in 2018? Well, I'm going to do a little bit of talking here because this is all preference. Now, obviously, you can get two 500 gigabyte hard drives pretty dang cheap. Now, I won't say it's anywhere close to an SSD, but you can get a terabyte of storage for pretty dang cheap. Now, if you don't know how RAID works, RAID's a great option because it actually doubles the speed of your hard drives by writing simultaneously, so two hard drives do the work and technically become two. Now, there are problems with this. Number one, you lose your data. All the bad stuff can happen if you lose one or something goes bad on it. But let's take a moment to think about this. If your SSD or your hard drive goes bad, especially when you're planning to get like a terabyte, everybody gets a terabyte with whatever SSD they get to put their games on, and they get a terabyte hard drive and that goes bad, you're kind of still in the same situation. So you're not really losing out on anything, and you get a little bit faster drive. Now, obviously, there are hybrid drives out there, which I would say are also a good recommendation for anybody out there. I've actually got a few sitting over my table over here. But there's a couple different options, not just particularly you have to go for the small drives. Now obviously you can put in some nice RAID. You can get some really nice RAID going and get some high speeds. Will you get up to around hybrid drive? Yes, probably. But you're not going to get up to an SSD, but the price difference, of course, is not going to be that big of a difference either. Now, it also depends on the kind of games you play, because some people really have big file games that they like to play a lot, and those I'd recommend buying an SSD. I actually just recently found one for 30 bucks online, 120 gigabyte SSD for 30 bucks. If that isn't a good deal, I don't know what is. And they've got 250 gigabytes for like 40 bucks. Great deals out there. I'm just saying, if you really need that large storage, that high quality, speedy storage, then that's for a great recommendation when you're getting two 500 gigabyte drives. After that, anything lower, I really wouldn't say go for it, because you can really get an SSD that's much higher performing, a good size SSD for around the same price. Especially now that 40 bucks buys you 250 gigabytes. I really couldn't say the same if comparing that to a hard drive. That's hard to beat. So I hope you enjoyed today's Q&A. If you have a question, please put it down in the description. It gives me, or comments. It gives me some good content to talk about. And of course, thank you very much. I'm hopefully going to try to get a few more of these videos out, and then maybe we get a couple, maybe get like 9 or so questions that I can make multiple videos out of it, and that'd be awesome. But thank you very much for watching. Subscribe if you enjoyed this video, and of course, tune into the next episode of Jay's Q&A. Without further ado, this is it. Thank you. Goodbye.